I think surrender is also key to like solving the creative block and just kind of being like, I feel like when I have a creative block, it's really just frustration. I don't think my purpose is to make music or to make art, but to do something with art and to do something with music.
It's like even when I ask the question, it's like, have you found your purpose through your passion?
You know what it reminds me of?
So much weight, yeah.
It reminds me of like when we were in high school, we had to like pick a college and like pick a major.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Isn't this gonna be like the rest of my life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a lot of like artistry is like some of our favorite shit, I feel like it just happens by accident.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, I just need to like do this enough that I have a lot of accidents.
Welcome back to the S5E9 podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Wise, and on this episode, we speak to Offering Rain. They are a multi-talented artist and organizer with Indian and Ecuadorian heritage. Born and bred in the heart of New York City, they seamlessly blend audio, poetry, painting, and design into a mesmerizing multimedia experience. With roots stretching across continents, Offering Rain draws from their diverse background to craft polycultural landscapes, vibrant imagery, and poetry that aims to refresh the world like raindrops on a parched land. Thank you so much for watching the show. We really do appreciate you being here. Please, if you don't mind, give us a like and subscribe if you enjoy the content that you're watching. And yeah, just thank you for sticking around. And we are nearing towards the end of season 5. We couldn't be more elated that you are still here with us watching this beautiful show. To all the people, to all of you, just thank you so much. And without further ado, enjoy the episode. We did recently with you, we had artist interviews, and that was a lot of fun. I'm excited because this is an opportunity for us to try new ground that we weren't able to try in the last interview that we had with you. And, you know, for the audience, now that you're watching, we love what you do and we think that you deserve a platform. And that's why we wanted to bring you back and specifically have you here, because we have a little bit more time to kind of dig a little deeper and find out, you know, a list of questions that we have. And we appreciate you for being here. So I want to start by just thanking you for that, yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, welcome back to the podcast, the vodcast. Appreciate you guys for being here. And to start off the interview, just to briefly, we won't spend too much time on this because we spent so much time talking about it, but we recently had our campaign, Who's New York City, and it went super well. It's a lot of fun. You were a key part of that for us. Thank you for being a part of it. But for those who don't know, who weren't able to attend the event, the reason why we invited Melika to join us in not only the interview series, but also at the event itself is because we love your work. You were actually able to show your visual art and sonically entertain the crowd while we were there because they are a DJ. And great job, by the way. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks.
Yeah, it was a really great time, and I loved that you were able to set the vibe, and it must feel good to be able to do that. I feel like you have a certain amount of power in your hands when you're at the DJ booth, and you can kind of like just set the tone. So as someone who was able to showcase 2 forms of what you do, how did it feel, and what were the responses like for everything?
Good question. I'm just thinking, it makes me think about like my love for DJing and how like I'd be happy to do that anytime. So I don't know, I have like this feeling that I'm playing for myself, and then I'm hoping to invite people into that and have fun with me. Yeah. So it's always nice to be able to DJ for an audience I've never DJed for. Yeah, and it's also awesome to share my painting. I mean, I made that painting specifically for this project, which I thought was cool.
Very cool.
I was like, that question is inspiring to me, and like I feel like I'm still thinking about it. So
that's great.
Yeah,
that's really awesome. Something that we talked about and something that you share on social media and what we've seen from you is that you have a great pride in being multiracial. So one of the special things that you do is you work a lot with Disco Auntie, and they have a mission, or part of their mission is to highlight South Asian people that are from South Asia, and it's really great to see that there's such a tight knit community, and we'll of course we'll talk about that. But tell us about what Disco Auntie is specifically, what they're doing, and then how are they bettering the industry that they are a part of?
Yeah. Well, I'll just start with the origins of Disco Auntie. Yeah. We have 3 co-founders, and I am one of them. We have Nadia, Jasdeep, and myself. And we kind of put our minds together to really just start this like passion project where we got to play the music that we wanted to hear and create like a really sweet and tender space to dance and celebrate a lot of the music that we grew up listening to or are finding out about now. And we have like we have a more like I guess concise bio. Like we're platforming, we're platforming South Asian music and beyond, and we're really like there's an emphasis on beyond because we're really not limited to that. And also my being not just South Asian, like I'm also very eager to kind of connect cultures through that platform. So that's really how it started. And then it's just like evolved into some other things. Like as we've all been on our own personal journeys, the project starts to shift too. And I recently, 2 years ago I became sober. So I feel like in a sense, Disco Auntie is also like a platform to be sober. And it's not that it's sober exclusive, but it's just like, you know, you can be here and be yourself and also not drink. Or you could, like, why not? But I really feel like Disco Auntie is like an extension of the 3 of us. I'm talking about like the co-founders. And then it's also like goes beyond us as well because we've like found such a really wonderful community that's like very supportive and very like eager for us to like keep doing our thing. And we're taking our time with it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's heartwarming to hear. And I love that you placed an emphasis there about the sobriety. And I think there's a pressure that we all feel oftentimes, especially when you go to events, nightlife events. So oftentimes DJing is nightlife oriented and music is typically that way. And sometimes, well, for most events, there is a pressure there. There's like a slight pressure to like go to the bar and get a drink. And I appreciate that you mentioned that because it's a kind of an oversight. It's not really something we consciously think about. When we're planning the event, we think, well, of course, that's one way that we're going to make money and people want this, right? But a lot of the energy that you create just in that decision, you have to counteract that with the idea of like, okay, well, let's offer things that people, you know, non-alcoholic things. Let's offer a space where it's not about the, you know, the drinking. It's not about getting loose enough or getting unsober so that you can dance and be free. It's like we can invite that without any of that, you know. It's more, I think it's more truthful that way. So I appreciate you mentioning that. Sorry to go on a tangent about that specifically, but I love that. So
yeah, I mean, and we're pretty mindful about that too. Like we're always looking to partner with venues that make non-alcoholic drinks and or have like, I mean, I love yerba mate. Like I want to get a partnership with yerba mate would be really great. But yeah, I mean, we're just really excited to offer that as well.
Yeah, that's great. And that's a lesson that I think everyone, including Project Feel, because I'm part of that process, we could all learn a lesson from that because it opens up the space, you know. And one of the beautiful things that you said or that you talked about is that you are, you know, you have a focus on South Asian people, of course, but you said beyond as well. One thing that's beautiful about South Asian cultures and their influence on the industries that from what I can tell, is that they're very, very united. And that's something that, of course, isn't unique to them, but it's like specifically focused on. It's like a part of any organization or any artist that talks about it. It's like, this is a big part of my identity. And I think that it's, like I said, it's beautiful, it's heartwarming, and to see that community continue to uplift each other makes you want to be a part of that and uplift in a similar way. And for your own people as well. Whenever I have these conversations, it's, you know, it makes me excited to see people like me and feel like I can do something for them in a special way. And if you could just briefly talk about maybe a few of those artists, like, are there any artists within, maybe they're a part of Disco Auntie or they do things with Disco Auntie, or just a part of your community in general, a few artists that you may be listening to or that you've been inspired by recently, just so that, you know, so we know.
I'm thinking of a few people that are just coming to mind. Like yesterday, my partner and I, who's also part of Disco Auntie, who's like also a really great DJ, is also probably on this list of like artists to like keep an eye out for. But we were watching some Boiler Room sets, and there are like DJ Ritu is one person that was like really fun to watch on Boiler Room. I guess I'm thinking a lot of like DJs right now because we were we were binging, but we also my friend was showing us like this Coachella set, and Fortet was a part of it. So Fortet's like also someone that I feel like I admire. I mean, there are a lot of people I admire. I probably couldn't name them all, but it's really the people that are, you know, taking what they know and like bringing a new flavor to it, or you know, adding new things, or just like being themselves. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I could do some more research for sure, but like
we all could.
Yeah.
I think it's important for us to be aware of that, because in the same way that we want to, or that we gravitate towards like certain types of media, it's important to have a good diet in terms of all of that. And we all fall into this where, like, it's when like you know, when a Drake album comes out, it's like all you see is everybody talking about that album, right? And it's just a little bit different when you want to, when you're thinking about friends and people who are releasing music. It's, of course, you want to support them, and you give them the play, and you consume what they're giving you, and you appreciate it. But it's also important to take it further beyond that. And it's harder to do when not everybody's aware. Because it's hard to be like, yo, there's this one song, or did you hear that one song? And they're like, oh, I don't even know who that is. It's like, okay, well, it sounds like, you know, it's a really cool, it's like you had to be there things. When it's like, oh, you just had to be there. It's kind of, it's harder because there's less to connect. But I think since it's more challenging, it's more important. And it's when we are thinking about, like the artists that you're thinking about, when they come to mind, it's wonderful when they can just like, oh, that's the person. Like I would definitely like, it's a, I feel like it's very, how do I say it? Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to explain what that feeling is like, but I think it's important, you know, all things considered, to have those people. And like if you ask me like who I'm even listening to right now, it's gonna be all like fucking like J. Cole and Drake and like, you know, these other and like it's not, my diet isn't as rich as I can have it, especially when it comes to my friends. So, you know, you have your moments, but I think it's really fun when you can kind of expand in that way and support. And I think that's one thing that I think I love as well about, like you said, we were talking about the South Asian community. It's like there are so many people in that industry now that are like tight knit, so that when you do go to events, you're gonna meet like 20 other people that are of the same community, and you can kind of like follow along and kind of see the threads that are like, you know, being connected and stuff. And I think that that's one thing specifically about it that I really enjoy. And thank you for making Daunting so that you could like platform them even more, and like you said, beyond. Hopefully, you know, we see more of that. What's happening right now with Daunting? Is there anything coming up, or?
We're looking for a venue. Our like general partner venue is like super booked these days, so we're trying to find like an aligned venue, and we were gonna try to do something for October. Got pushed to November. It's getting pushed to December. Listen, we're trying to see.
That happens.
Yeah.
That's the same with Who's New York City. It was like supposed to happen, and I don't even know. Like it was supposed to happen during the summer, and then it got pushed back and pushed back. And pushed back. It just happens that way sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're on the hunt. Yeah. If you have any recommendations, definitely open to them. Yeah, like while you were sharing, I thought of like a few more folks.
Yeah, please.
And it's like it's also like people that we'd want to play at Disco.
Yeah.
There's an artist, Roshni Samlal. She plays tabla and DJs, and she's like super cool. She's like mixing cumbia with like chutney music, and
I think you talked about this person the last time we were having the interview as well. I'm pretty sure. Nice.
So they're really cool.
Yeah.
There's Kriti, who like is an amazing producer that we would also love to have a Disco on. And another kind of goat is DJ Reka, who also came to Who is New York. But
nice.
We're hoping to have these folks on a Disco Auntie lineup someday.
That's really great.
So, and honestly, like a bunch of other folks that we haven't even found yet. But
that's awesome. It's good to hear. I'm glad there's something coming up. We're definitely going to be paying attention so that we can attend in any form that it's in. To move towards your personal journey a little bit, your creative journey, because you do well. How many art forms do you genuinely like you're about? Because I know, of course, you have your painting, but you also have the DJ work and your production, your own music as well. Are there any other kind of like forms of art that we don't necessarily know about? Or?
I would just add like a bit of graphic design to that. Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. That's cool. Okay. Since you're, I mean, it seems like you're creating a lot, and you know, a lot of your life is about creativity. One of the things that a lot of people have to tackle when they get to a certain point in their career, especially early on, it's kind of like it's free and it's very, you know, it comes out of you quickly, and you feel like you can be open, and you know, everything is discovery. But you get to a point where it starts to slow down. You plateau a little bit, right? And one thing that's very common for artists is getting creative blocks and having those obstacles that, you know, come into play, and it almost makes you feel like you lost your spark or whatever you thought it is. Have you had any creative blocks in your life? Like, are there any recent ones you can recall? And then also, if you don't mind telling us how you overcome them, if you do.
You know, it's funny that you ask, because I feel like I'm kind of in a creative block right now. But I just had a session yesterday. Yeah. So like, it's like I can feel that there's a need for rejuvenation. But I'm still kind of, you know, going at it like as much as I can. So I don't know. I feel that specifically with music, it's very easy for me to just like jump into a session and like surrender to it. Yeah. I think surrender is also key to like solving the creative block, and just kind of being like, I feel like when I have a creative block, it's really just frustration disguised as like I'm like either not aware of it or so I guess what I've really been feeling is a bit of frustration, which is just like, I think more about me having to like relearn patience and be like, okay, well, I got this. Like, I just need to like take it easy and like approach this with fresh eyes. Yeah. I feel that mostly for my music right now. Yeah. I guess it's also that I'm really excited to share it, and I'm like, oh, it's like not ready.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah.
You know.
It sounds like, you know, when it comes to creative blocks for you, like you said, it's about surrendering. And I think that is probably the biggest key. My friend, I don't know if you know Ryan J. You ever heard of him? Garcia?
I think so.
He's
I do think so.
He's a good friend of ours.
Mm-hmm.
Really goes way back in terms of our friendship. With the homie for forever. Picasso is his artist name. And he recently, he was talking about how, because he moved to Philly, and making a big move like that is difficult, especially when you're going there and you're just, you know, starting fresh. And he was in a block for a while. And it was funny because he started collaborating. He had more opportunities to get into rooms where people were making music as well. And that the act of that, I think, kind of unlocked something for him,
Mm-hmm.
and reinspired, reinvigorated him, and pushed him back into making music. And he's making better music than he's ever made. He's improving every single day, and I'm really proud of him. But it goes back to that thing about surrender. It feels a little bit counterintuitive as an artist to be like, you know, let me get into the studio with a bunch of people and make music with a bunch of people and add that pressure to my creative block. But it's about surrender. It's walking into a room and be like, it's not about me right now. It's about us as a group. And if I don't contribute anything, it doesn't matter. We're gonna make something, right? Mm-hmm. Even if I don't like what I contribute, we're going forward. And that's oftentimes where most of the really challenging things come in. And because when you challenge yourself, you invite so many opportunities. And it seems like for you as well, it's about surrender. It's about getting in there and just like letting it go. Because if you just fall into it, something's gonna happen, right? It doesn't always have to be like the best work. It doesn't have to be channeled from the God down into your body, into the machine, right?
Yeah.
It can just be you doing what you do. So I think that's a really important thing that you said, for sure.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point about collaboration, because I feel like that's a great antidote to like getting outside of one's head.
Yeah, for sure.
I do feel like in the summer I had a kind of different creative block where I was feeling like a bit of frustration. And then like for the month after that, I was like, I'm going to do a session every week. Wow. And so like I like penciled it in, and it was inspiring. And the thing is, it's like, even if we don't make like the greatest thing, I'm always learning. Like yesterday, I learned something about my friend Adam, who I collaborate with a lot. We also have a project called Mad Lovely where we make like skits and songs.
Oh, that's fun.
But
that's
unrelated.
Really cool. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's really fun. But I wrote some like lyrics and to a song we're working on, and my breath work, like I wasn't able to do the verse that I wrote. So he's like, why don't you just like take out the word that like makes you lose your breath? And it was like, whoa, like he just suggested that I write around my breath as opposed to like force my breath to like fit the verse that I wrote. So I was just like, it's so simple, it's so small, but I was like, this is actually really like good to kind of integrate into my practice as a whole.
It's simple, it's small, but it's specific to you. And it is a way to, it's like, it's learning. Like you said, it's learning not only about the work and what you do and the technical skills it takes, but learning about yourself and your limitations and learning how to work around them, but also overcome them. And that's a privilege that we have as artists, is that we get to discover new limitations every single time that we walk into any kind of session or we do any kind of endeavor. We learn, we're like, ooh, that's a wall. And I have to like, I can't really push against it right now because it's just a wall. But, you know, you build around it, you find out how to get through it if you need to. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's been a year since your debut album as Offering Rain, right? As the wonderful artist that you are. It's a great project. My favorite song is Truth. I love the cinematic club vibe at the end of it. That was a really cool moment. I was like, oh, this is fun. This is a lot of fun. It's a great project.
Thank you.
Yeah. Describe, if you can, your evolution as an artist? Because it's only been a year, but time passes and you learn a lot. From that point to now, how have things changed? How have you evolved?
I feel like that project is like a springboard for me to like jump off of. Because when I announced that project and like I actually changed my name to Offering Rain, I may have mentioned that in the last interview. I was kind of shedding everything else. I was like, I'm starting fresh. Like I have something important to say and a different way of saying it than maybe I have done in the past. So I really released this album because I thought I would never release an album, and I was just like proving it to myself. But it became kind of like the world in which like I started to make my more recent music, and I'm really excited about my like upcoming music. The reason it's not out is because I want to have like a body of work that's ready, and then start releasing it. So I'm like,
we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, like I have like 3 songs that are like done, ready to go, but I'm like holding on to them until I got a little bit more to work with, because I want to, you know, release them consecutively and like give like a new body of work to the world. So
and it's really hard to hold on to music when you know it's like oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I've grown as a person as well. I'm sure it will like weave through the rest of the convo, but it feels the project feels like a different time and a different person released it. But it's I listened to it and I'm like, yeah, I did that. And that's where I was.
That's
and
fair.
Yeah,
That's cool. I think it's really cool to know musicians and artists that do music, because you know, at one point I did release a bit of music, but seeing someone who's releasing music in different times in their lives, like they talk about the eras, and there's one song on this project that it's like, this started all of this, you know. This one track is the soundscape that built out the rest of what I did in that moment, and you only get to experience it as a viewer in that one, you know, encapsulated thing wherever it came out in. But for the artist, the feeling of it being released, it's so much deeper. And I think that's really why it's really hard to be a musician as well, is because oftentimes the work that you do when you're doing it, the journey you take, is so much deeper than the actual project that comes out. And oftentimes it's hard to convey to an audience why this was so special, even if like, you know, it has its like flaws and it's like in the chinks in the armor. There's so much to it, and when to put that out and then to have it be like looked at and examined and critiqued and like dug into is like very vulnerable. But to go back, it's like, it's really fun to hear the eras. And when you go back in someone's discography, you can really hear the sounds. You're like, ooh, they like changed a lot here. They added this, they started doing this kind of vibe. Like, you can tell the production quality kind of increases a lot, especially after just a year. Yeah, it's really fun. In terms of your sound, what do you think, will this project or will the series of projects that are going to be coming out, will they have similar sounds? Like, are there signature sounds that you have that stuck with you even after a year, or is it all kind of like, is it new energy altogether?
I think it's a bit of both. I think that there's probably like an aesthetic voice that might be recognizable between like that project and what will come out. But I'm seeing more motifs now, like more like sonic motifs, things that I like kind of am bringing into different projects. I'm noticing that more now. Yeah, and yeah, I'm like really excited about it. It makes me excited. But like you said, it's kind of like, you know, sharing journal entries and just like, these songs have like a lot of emotion tied to them. Speaking more about the album, but like,
for sure,
different songs have different emotions tied to them, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's like this is like journal entry that I put out. It really feels like when I put out a song, it's like, yeah, this vulnerable thing, but yeah.
That's
I
exciting.
keep doing it.
That's great. I mean, there's a reason why, for sure, and I'm sure you know the reason, even if it's sometimes hard to articulate. And I feel like it's a similar reason to why everyone else, not similar in the way that it's the same core, the foundation, but when you get to a certain point, it's a similar thing that keeps us all going in the same direction. Because, God, it's so easy to just stop. It's so easy to, like, because I did it. I made, 3 singles, and it was for a specific project with Project Feel, and I wanted to keep making more music, but there were just a few roadblocks that came into play and things that I felt like I couldn't or I didn't want to overcome. And that's sometimes something you have to kind of take into account. Is it's okay to say no sometimes and be like, maybe this wasn't for me, or this isn't something that I want to keep going. When you do find that thing though, when you find that one thing that it's like, even if I stop for 3 years or 4 years, 5 years, I have to stop, it's always going to be a part of my life, and I'm always going to want to go back into it, no matter what happens. And when you find that, it's your passion, right? And finding passion connects you to your purpose, and that's so vitally important when it comes to all of this. You personally, if you had to say, do you feel like in music and the art that you create, do you feel like you've found your purpose through the passion, or is it something you're still kind of searching for?
I've recently read an excerpt from a book, and it's talking about like higher purpose, and it made me think, like, I guess I've been thinking about purpose a lot recently. I think at the time of the album release a year ago, I thought, oh yeah, this is my purpose. And now I'm like, my purpose is a little bit more specific. Like, I don't think my purpose is to make music or to make art, but to do something with art and to do something with music. And I'm still figuring it out, but I know generally I have like a contribution that I hope to share with the world.
Yeah.
Purpose feels like a really kind of body of exploration still for me,
Yeah.
And I'm sure that purpose evolves as well. But yeah, I don't know. People say like, yeah, I found my purpose, and I'm like, that's so awesome. Like,
That's great. That's a really interesting way to think about it too. Yeah.
Like, and is purpose like, what is purpose? Like, is it like a word? Is it is it like harmony? Is it like, or is it like my purpose is to make these amazing meals for people? Like, what is, I don't know. It's like, it's kind of like, well, I'd love to hear more about purpose from other people, and then like try to relate to it.
Yeah. I love the way that you talked about it, because it's very illuminating. Because when you think about purpose, I have a feeling that when most people think about it, it almost feels like the same way they probably think about God. It's purpose, and it's this ever-changing, or it's this ever stable thing that is just one thing, and it's one thing only, and it's very, very vital, and it's important. It's the world. It's like everything. You have to, the weight of everything has to be within that word, the purpose. And the way that you talked about it, it's you said, I'm sure it's evolving. It's not that way. It doesn't stay the same. It's used in so many different ways. Purpose can be on so many different levels. It can be at the smallest level and the greatest level. And that's in nature, right? That's natural. And I feel like thinking about it that way somehow expands it, but also makes it lighter. So I feel like when you think about purpose, it's like this ball of this iron, right? That you're like, I can't even hold this thing. And I feel like that's what keeps people probably away from purpose more often than not, is like, I don't even want to think about that, because
it's daunting.
It's a really big, it's a really challenging thought in general is like thinking about what your purpose is. Like even when I ask the question, it's like, have you found your purpose through your passion?
You know what it reminds me
so
of?
much weight. Yeah.
It reminds me of like when we were in high school, we had to like pick a college and like pick a major. And I'm like, wait.
Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah.
Isn't this going to be like the rest of my life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's so fascinating, but it changes. It's not the rest of your
change.
life. It changes every day. It changes by the scenario. Like one day your purpose can be, you know, you want to be this great artist, and then the next day your purpose is, I have a child. It's like I have to take care of this one person instead of wanting to take care of the world, right? But what's beautiful about it is that even through that one person, you're taking care of everything.
Yeah.
Like that's the connectedness that we live in. And I think as an artist, that's really important to remember, because although your purpose changes, it's just a different channel.
yeah,
And you're just accessing a different point.
that's it.
It's important. It's still important. So thank you for saying that, because I
Thanks
feel like
for
that opened up.
asking.
Yeah, I feel like
we
opens up
both
some-
learned in that.
Oh, for sure.
In that.
For sure.
isolation.
Talking about where you're going from here, you have a new single series coming up, right? It's still kind of going to be that way, or yeah. And it's, I guess, I mean, what can you tell us about this new era that you're about to approach? And we kind of talked a bit about this already in terms of your signature sounds, but how does it compare? If you can give us more details, and also if you can't give us too many details, I would understand. But you know, from what you can share about what's coming, please.
I would say that some of it is a little bit more upbeat and danceable, which is exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like been very exciting. I think part of the kind of problem that I was tackling was like, I would love to more and more play music that, DJ music that I'm making.
Yeah.
And so I'm
that's
like,
hard,
okay,
but
well,
yeah.
how do I like make sure my song fits the bill?
Yeah.
Because I have like a standard for the songs I play. So I'm
For
like,
sure.
now I have to like challenge myself
so
and meet
interesting.
that standard.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Like, I mean, it's a challenge for sure, and I'm gonna do it in my own unique way. But that's kind of the vibe.
Yeah. That's a really cool way to think about it. It's you're almost putting yourself up against this whole long list of songs that you love, and you're like, slide it in there. It has to be able to. You can just slide it
work.
into
Yeah.
the system, and when you go to play that anywhere, it's like that was a good moment, right?
Yeah.
It must be also kind of scary.
It's definitely
Yeah.
scary. It's definitely scary, but I love music.
Yeah.
So I think like however long it takes me to like get these songs out, like the 3 songs that are ready, one of them is like kind of like a 2-step love song,
Ooh.
which is like it's cute.
Yeah.
It's called Lightning Strikes. My partner's on it, and it was really fun. Like I think I'm just trying to have like a bit more fun. I think with the first debut album, I was like, I have something really important to get off my chest, and it was kind of like everything that you think you know about me, you don't know. And like now I'm like, all right, how do we chill and like kind of like live in love and explore fun and celebration and joy and like make stuff that's like kind of surprising. So these are, I feel like, you know, constantly doing research because I'm DJing and I'm like seeing, okay, what do these songs do? And I'm just trying to absorb when I play that music and see like, okay, how can I bring this into my practice? And then sometimes, I mean, the crazy thing is that sometimes that like funness or that like quality that I'm looking for, it just happens by accident. And I think that's like a lot of like artistry is like some of our favorite shit, I feel like it just happens by accident.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I just need to like do this enough that I have a lot of accidents.
It goes back to what you say about surrendering.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big part of it is having fun with it and being able to surrender. We're very excited to hear all of the music that you got coming out, to hear more about Disco Auntie and everything that you're doing in that regard. Thank you for everything that you do. Please, to those who are watching, of course, follow them and their incredible work. And thank you for watching. Also, Melika Offering Rain. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Like I said, we're so excited and looking forward to when the music finally does come out. We're gonna be bumping it, and definitely gonna be visiting those sets. I can't wait to hear how you like slip them in. It's gonna be so fun. Sweet. All right. Well, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much again.